All right, what's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode here on Sharkstalgia, where I talk about all things 80s and 90s in the form of modern era comebacks. And in today's episode, we have a awesome new announcement, which surprisingly has already been somewhat revealed last year, but we are now aiming towards our first introduction to a brand new character into the Biker Mice from Mars universe, and that's none other than a character named Scorch. Now, this character that we see here on screen, her name is Scorch, and she will appear in the Nacelle universe Biker Mice from Mars comic book variation. And within that issue, which I believe releases January 21st, but it's also today's the 21st, so maybe it's coming out soon. I don't know. But, anyways, one of the things that I find very fascinating is that for those who are aware of Biker Mice from Mars and are fans of Biker Mice from Mars, if you've seen the original cartoon series, just as a quick little backstory, the show, it's anthropomorphic mice, and they do have some comedic humor, they do have some wit, and it's very nostalgic and reminiscent to characters like Ninja Turtles or even Street Sharks. But what I found really fascinating is not the fact that, they crash landed from, their home planet onto Earth, which landed in Chicago, and then being, aided by characters like Charlie, who's kind of like the Casey Jones of the group. But their storyline, when it involves back on Mars, really hits the emotion aspect, because even though the 90s cartoon has its fair share of being like a cliche, but what I really loved about that show is that when they discussed like emotional turn of events or even love interests like like Throttle and Carbine, or even Moto and his cousin Rimfire, and then there's even, I think there was another character, I forgot her name, that was also part of Vinny's love interest. But they offer some really great backstories as to how Moto lost his arm, or got the cybernetic arm, or lost his eye, or why Vinny is the way he is, or why Throttle is, why he had to leave that relationship with the Freedom Fighters, and of course Carbine. So that makes the whole series, like, it makes it really great, because I liked that storyline more than what we showcased there on Earth. But anyways, so after all these years, and with Ryan Reynolds, I guess he's owning the rights of Biker Mice from Mars and the Nacelle universe, the company Toys Nacelle, also having the rights to create the action figures. We now have our first look at the character Scorch, which will be introduced in the comic book series, who is set to be a pretty badass character. Now, I don't want to spoil too much or dive into it, because for those that are going to read the comics, should probably have some fun reading about this specific character. But it does say that Scorch is a new original villain created by the Nacelle for their upcoming Biker Mice from Mars animated series. So that's another big takeaway that I want to share here, is that there is a brand new Biker Mice from Mars cartoon series coming out, which will also be, I think, streaming on multiple services as well as Tubi for free. So you can bet your ass that I'm definitely going to be reviewing this show, because I've seen the original 90s show and I'm really excited for that. It says Scorch is depicted as a cunning, sarcastic, and skilled sharpshooter from Mars who opposes Throttle, Vinny, and Moto, supporting the Plutarchian takeover. So, okay, so good enough backstory for me already, and she just looks badass. She kind of reminds me of G.I. Joe's Zarana, if for those that are G.I. Joe fans. Very interesting, as she kind of resembles like a character from the Dreadnoks. But it's a very nice, interesting look. I mean, I like it, especially with the hammer and stuff. Now, according to comicbook.com, which I'll keep the link in the description below, so I'm going to quickly read just a few things that I thought was pretty cool. It does say that the series will finish up its run in this week's Biker Mice from Mars issue number 8, and it'll have a major ripple effect across the franchises. That's because the epic finale will not only introduce an all new and all original character to the franchise, but it'll also set up the character's upcoming animated series debut in a major way. There are spoilers from issue number 8, so we'll just kind of skip over a little too much, but it does say that Scorch is an anti-hero and who was previously teased in promotional materials last year, and we got an introduction of how she will play moving forward, and it's going to be a big role from the looks of things. Not only does she take out Throttle, Moto, and Vinny in brutal fashion, but she's going to be in a major part of the animated series and a new comic book series. So on the comic book website, there will be links to the description below, as you can see some images of how she's brutally destroying all three mice, which is pretty awesome. So very happy to see how that's going to turn out. It does say Scorch isn't just any new addition to the franchise, as she's being set up to be a true major player. And moving forward, the biker mice from Mars are see Scorch as a force to reckon with, as they will carry over to full-scale Nacelle universe comic books, etc., which will hit later in 2026. So then it says Scorch is she's badass, crash landed in her own new comic book series. Okay, so it's kind of same old, same old. Um, so they're talking about more about the comic book series and all that other good shit. But again, I'm really excited for the fact that it says Biker Mice from Mars number 8 will hit comic book stores on January 21st, which is at the time of making this video today. And Scorch will um okay, and then it says the animated series is expected to be later this year as well. So you guys can really bet that I'm going to be reviewing the animated series as well, because like I said before, this is a sharkstalgia channel where I talk about all things 80s and 90s in the form of modern era comebacks. So with Biker Mice from Mars being one of my favorite shows back in the 90s, I'm really excited to see how she's going to play in the cartoon. And yeah, I'm really excited. So stay tuned for upcoming reviews and stay tuned for more incomings. And yeah, I hope that one day the Nacelle universe does create an action figure of this particular character, because that would be sick. If not, that would suck. Otherwise, I can't wait to see how badass she is and see how they're gonna utilize this character and be a part of the Plutarchian war with the biker mice of Mars and maybe the freedom fighters. And will she be aided by um, anyone else? I don't know, but it would be sick. So with that being said, the link will be in the description below if you want to read more about it. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this character and how a new animated series is going to really revamp the series, because again, it's co-owned by Ryan Reynolds, which is pretty funny and cool at the same time, and the Nacelle universe. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this will go. So with that being said, let me know in the comments below what you think about this character, and I'll talk to you all in the next episode.